Well, greetings vinyl community. This will be a continuation of last week's video, more vinyl finds for 2023. These are actually ones that came before the ones I showed last week. Yes, I am reverting. I'm going backwards in time, as one does. And starting off with this excellent album by Nectar Recycled. This is an album I just didn't have before. I don't know why, and it's great. This is a really great Nectar album. Great, very proggy, very progressive rock album, and this is a German pressing on the Bacillus label. And I evidently got cheated because it's a non-gatefold sleeve, and apparently there's supposed to be an insert with this, and I did not get the insert. So I paid too much for that copy, but it's a really good album. Also, on that very same Bacillus label, at the same time, I found this album by 9 Days Wonder, Sonnet to Billy Frost. I actually owned this album in the past and got rid of it at some point and decided to pick it up again. Although 9 Days Wonder are considered a krautrock band, this is really not krautrock at all. This sounds very mainstream rock. It's a concept album. I think it's billed as a rock opera. It's a nice listen, but it's just not, it just doesn't have that special kind of krautrock aura to it. So, worth owning, worth listening to, but not really that great. Not really that great. How about Intergalactic Touring Band? Are they great enough to be intergalactic, to tour amongst the stars? This is a very silly concept album from the 70s, and you see this one around a lot, I think. Great players on it. It is a concept built around an actual touring band that does travel through outer space, and they have their own kind of merchandise for this fictional band. This is fictional merchandise purchased in drimes. The unit of currency is drimes for some reason. This comes with a booklet, all kinds of fancy guest artists on this. Arthur Brown sings on here, Annie Haslam sings on here, Dave Cousins from Straubs, David Bedford does orchestral arrangements, Francis Rossi from Status Quo, Anthony Phillips plays guitar, Rod Argent sings on here, Percy Jones plays bass, Clarence Clemens is on saxophone, so a real cast of all-stars. Oh, and Larry Fast is part of the main band that put this all together. An enjoyable thing. Again, nothing really fantastic, but a quite fun album. A classic, Curtis Mayfield. Curtis, his solo album from 1970, and this is the recent reissue on the very cool turquoisey colored vinyl from a current Warner Brothers reissue series. Classic album. Don't worry if there's a hell below, we're all gonna go. Move on up. We the people who are darker than blue. And love that colored vinyl. Paul McCartney and Wings, Back to the Egg. I just picked this one up recently from 1979. Not one of their better received albums. I quite like this one. I like this one a lot. I've always had a soft spot for McCartney's work outside the Beatles, which a lot of people do not, but there you go. And the hits on this one were Getting Closer and Arrow Through Me. And it's also the one that he won a Grammy for somehow for the instrumental Orchestra theme. Bargain Bin Find, Susto by Masabumi Kikuchi. This, I didn't know anything about this, but when I saw on the inner sleeve that it had people like Stephen Grossman and Dave Liebman on saxophones, and there's that inner sleeve. Aorto on percussion. It looked like a pretty interesting project, and this is fusion with a strong dose of mid-70s Miles influence, but the fusion aspect of it is very electric, very almost clockwork sounding. So there's this kind of clockwork advanced funk thing going on, and not so much of the really I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking of, the kind of the approach that the overall aura that Miles gets with the same players and the same kind of concept in mind. But this was a very good find for 49 cents. Hubert Laws, Rite of Spring on CTI. Another album with a great cast of performers. He has Ron Carter on bass, Jack DeJohnette on drums, Dave Friedman on vibes and percussion, Bob James on piano, Wally Kane on bassoon, Aorto again on percussion, and Gene Bertoncini on guitar. It's not a full-length performance of Rite of Spring. It's just a chunk of Rite of Spring, but it is all adaptations of classical music, beginning with the Forêt Pavane. It also includes Debussy's Syrinx, perfect for a flute player, and an adaptation of the Third Brandenburg Concerto by good old J.S. Bach, whose name will pop up again later. Music of the Argentinian composer Alberto Ginastera, the Cantata para America Mágica, or Cantata for Magic America. Great piece for a large percussion ensemble with dramatic soprano. And I'm reminded a bit of Varese, obviously by the fact that it's an all-percussion ensemble, but also in the writing for the female voice. I get a bit of that offrande vibe from it. And the album is filled out with another percussion piece by Carlos Chavez, the Toccata, which is a three-movement thing that is actually playing in the background right at this very moment. This is a mono copy on that old gray 2i Columbia label. Here's one you see around a lot, I think. John Cage, Concerto for Prepared Piano. And what is a prepared piano, you ask? You know that. It's where John Cage takes screws and washers and sticks them in the strings of the piano. So he creates a sort of gamelan-like percussive array of tones available from the keyboard. And this is filled out by Baroque Variations by Lucas Foss, which is a piece that is drawn from music of Baroque composers, including Bach. The partita in E is used for the third movement, which is called On a Bach Prelude or Phorion. And he also uses music of Handel and Scarlatti, and apparently the ensemble players are constantly playing the music of these composers, but they're supposed to be playing inaudibly and only to come up when the conductor indicates it. It's like you are here now, you are here now, you are here now. So it's kind of taken from the masters and turned into Lucas Foss's. It's kind of an acoustic or analog way of sampling. And the third movement, the Phorion, which is based on the Bach partita, also appears on here as a separate work, titled Phorion, which is Greek for stolen goods. And this is another one of those Columbia 2i things, that gray label, Columbia Masterworks. And also includes music by Edison Denisov, a crescendo e diminuendo, or getting louder and getting softer. And really nice lengthy piece by Gunther Schuller, Triplum, which is a very abstract thing. But regarding the Lucas Foss Phorion, there's a review of it that I found, a review of Bernstein performing it in the New Yorker from 1967, which says, "The thing reminded me of Marcel Duchamp's celebrated gesture of painting a mustache on Leonardo's Mona Lisa. Shortly after that, Monsieur Duchamp stopped creating art altogether and devoted himself to chess. A similar move by Mr. Foss might benefit the future of music." Meow. This one's so new, it's still got the shrink wrap and the hype sticker and the original price sticker on it. This was still sealed when I got it. Patrick Moraz, Out in the Sun. His first solo album made after leaving Yes. He had made a previous solo album while still a member of Yes. But this one continues the Brazilian influence that was evident on his album I. I think it's actually a bit more essential here. This is most of it is very Latin based, with a strong kind of mainstream feel to the underlying compositions, but a lot of elaboration in the keyboard playing and the arrangements. So it's interesting in that way, and it does include a piece which sounds suspiciously like the first vocal section of Awaken, which Yes did on their next album after Moraz was no longer a member of the band, we'll put it that way. And I think it's generally believed that he had some uncredited compositional ideas that were used in that album. So, Out in the Sun by Patrick Moraz from 1977. Scrumptious Sabotage, Ikue Mori and Maya S.K. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. My Norwegian is just not up to it. Ratke. Scrumptious Sabotage is a live recording from 2012 of duets by Ikue Mori, who uses a drum machine to produce highly abstract electronic compositions. They're nothing like what a drum machine is normally used for. Laptop electronics, drum machine, and the voice of Maya Ratke. Very abstract album, very cool stuff. North Sea Radio Orchestra, Foley Baloli, music by Robert Wyatt. The LP itself is a re-recording of Robert Wyatt's first solo album, or not his first solo album, his first solo album after his famous accident, Rock Bottom. This is an elaborately packaged thing that folds out, and if I fold it out too much, the album is going to fall out on the floor, so I have to be careful. But it's a remarkable package. Of course, Wyatt's music is amazing, and these people do it justice, although nothing can really match what an amazing and moving album the original Rock Bottom is. And this also includes a CD, which contains more of the music than is included on the LP. So you get recordings of some of Wyatt's later compositions as well on the CD. Finally, Live at the Festival, a various artists album on the Enja label, recordings from 1970 through 1973, recorded at the Festival Ljubljana in what was then Yugoslavia. We get Bill Evans with Eddie Gomez and Tony Oxley as his rhythm section doing Nardis, the Miles Davis composition. Karen Krog on vocals with Harold Anderson accompanying her on bass doing Roundabout Midnight. Sonny's Back, Gretchen Monker composition recorded by Archie Shepp with Dave Burrell on piano, Don Garrett on bass, Suzanne Fasteau on logs, and Muhammad Ali on drums. And finally, Bobby Hutcherson, 18-minute recording of The Creators with Harold Land on tenor sax, Reggie Johnson on bass, Joe Chambers on drums, and Hal Galper on piano. So that's it for the vinyl finds. I'm going to show a little sampler of my music now because as I'm coming to you, it is Thursday, April the 6th, and tomorrow is a Bandcamp Friday. So you have the opportunity to participate in Bandcamp Friday by participating the music of your favorite music makers, and you just might want to pick up something that happens to have my name on it if you want. And here's what you'd be letting yourself in for. right. Well, thank you very much for watching. Be well. Talk with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.